Welcome everybody to the Six Faves podcast, and Brent with M. Reyes talking NBA draft. Exciting times in the middle of the NBA Finals. We're trying to break down the lottery as is constituted before the big day, and we're just kind of going over favorites, Mighty. So what are we hearing right now? I know we've been hearing a lot about Porzingis moving up.
Yeah, I think that looks like the one that can be like the big monkey wrench kind of in the hole. Because for a while, and not that I agreed. I mean, you know my feeling on Okafor. I can't stand him.
Right.
But for a while, it was still Towns, Okafor kind of 1 and 2. But now Porzingis has this workout, the first one in the States, and everyone's blown away. And you got scouts saying he's better than Towns. Other guys saying he should go top 2, which is something that Fran Fraschilla said back at the NBA Draft Combine, if people remember. He said that Porzingis should go, he could go in the top 2, and drew comps to Powell and Dirk. Mm-hmm. I don't know how much Powell, but right. he was really athletic. Right. The guy was just popping triples all over. So
did they say like making threes like they were layups?
Like they were layups, yeah. I mean, scouts were just raving.
Right.
And, there's questions about the body and the defense and stuff like that. But
I heard good things about the intensity. That's what kind of is separating him from other Euros in the past. They said he actually has a little fight to him.
Yeah, well, that's huge. I mean, because let's be honest, a lot of Euro guys have come into the league and they're not really tough guys.
Vesely.
So yeah, exactly. Not really tough-minded guys that are gonna fight tooth and nail. So like he's kind of the one that's kind of throwing the monkey wrench here. So now Okafor might be dropping a little bit. So if you say Towns, Russell 1-2, maybe. I mean, I don't know if the Lakers make the jump and take Porzingis.
And that's the other development recently has been D'Angelo Russell.
The thing that I heard from Philly was they have a firm top 3, and it was said to be Towns, Russell, Okafor.
Towns, Russell, okay.
And now Joel Embiid suffered a little bit of a setback.
Right. This weekend, right?
Yeah, like a CT scan showed that the healing process wasn't going as smoothly. They wanted him to play in Summer League in July.
They said he might have to get a second surgery.
So now you're sitting there at 3. I mean, you took Embiid with the 3rd pick a year ago. Uh-huh. Are you going back with another big and taking Okafor? I mean, I wouldn't. I'll tell you that right now.
Right.
But I think still Philly's. I think they hope that it's Russell, but I don't know. I don't really know if it's going to be. I kind of don't think it will be.
We're hearing reports it's Porzingis now. Could be.
Yeah, you're starting to see that, and that's interesting. I mean, him and Nerlens Noel in the
that's a nice
front,
little combo.
That's a lanky, long front court,
and a guy who could stretch the floor
for sure. So that's an interesting pairing. So if it's Porzingis at 3, now you're looking at the Knicks at 4, right. And I'm praying it isn't Okafor, dude.
You're hoping it's Russell.
Russell, Moutier, Cauley-Stein. I'll take Winslow. I'll take either one of those guys ahead of. I'll even take Cameron Payne ahead of Okafor. And we watched Okafor the other day in the pre-draft workout.
Well, I saw you send me this clip of him bricking downtown. I know he's not a 3-point shooter.
And it wasn't even that. It wasn't even so much that he's missing the triple. I mean, I didn't expect him to have much of a game outside of 10 feet anyway. He's got a long windup. He's got an ugly hitch in his shot. Like it took him 10 minutes basically to get the shot off.
Right.
And it's just, it really concerns you. And like I said, I already had concerns about his game outside of 10 feet. You already knew that. His bread is buttered down the low post, and you get that. But it's a versatile game. I mean, I need you to be able to step out a little bit. I need you to be able to guard somebody. He can't do either. Mm-hmm. So I'm not a fan. It's not like we're getting Shaq here. I mean,
right.
That's a problem.
It's just so interesting to me, like how a guy who was on a team that won a national title. It seems like there's a consensus out here now that not that he's slipping, but I hear more negative feedback than I do actual positive feedback when it comes to his game lately. And I don't know if it's more of the Twitter and the fan chatter just kind of bleeding in, because a lot of scouts do think that he still has great potential, but I just feel like there's like a lot of negativity out there. Why do you think so?
I
know you're not a fan.
Yeah, I just think it's a lack of versatility. I mean, he doesn't
6'11", 272.
Like, and when you see guys like Towns,
right,
popping threes with ease and then just showing the athleticism with the slam, and you see Porzingis coming in and doing the same, and you see Cauley-Stein, who's the best defensive player in the draft, and even he's improving on the triple, and he's hitting a lot of threes, and he's really showing the form.
In the workouts, right.
Yeah, in the workouts. You're seeing these guys kind of bring it out, like even a Trey Lyles with the smooth game that he's got. And, he's not a prototypical big man, but he's 6'10". Like, even the smoothness of their games and the all-around part of their game and the versatility, like I keep alluding to, whereas Okafor, he doesn't have that. He doesn't have the versatility. He has a limited game. Therefore, to me, he's got limited upside.
Right. And in today's NBA game, where you have the fours and you have the threes, handling the ball now and shooting a lot more and playing that Warriors D'Antoni style ball that's kind of becoming the what is now.
And you're watching these finals, you're watching the playoffs. How many times do we see small ball and the big man's riding the bench?
Right.
Like, if you're not athletic enough and versatile enough, the big man is on the bench. And what good is taking Okafor with that high of a pick if there's going to be several times throughout the course of the year that he may be on the bench because he can't be out there guarding a 6'9", quote-unquote center, because that's the lineup they got, who's 230 and he's kind of running around the court like Draymond Green. Mm-hmm. What point is it?
Fair point.
That's why, like, a guy like Cauley-Stein, I think would be, to me, head and shoulders, I'd take him ahead of Okafor. Put it this way. If I'm ranking a draft, I'm ranking a lottery, and if I was doing my mock, my personal mock, I'd put Okafor down at 10, 11.
Wow.
I actually think 11 would be a decent fit for him in Indiana.
And I think it's interesting now with the Russell development, the Lakers, in what was perceived to be just, the two bigs at the top, now with the Russell development, if they take Russell too, and you could see your Knicks, and let's say the Sixers hold form and take Porzingis like we've been hearing, and the Knicks take a shot at Cauley-Stein, who's skyrocketed, and obviously Phil, we know, well-documented, huge fan of Cauley-Stein, as is everybody now at this point, right? You could, not saying that Okafor would drop, but you could see him dropping.
He may not go past 5 if that was the case, but still, from a guy that was basically the consensus number 1 all year, now he's kind of fallen down to 5th, or at least in my viewpoint, he's kind of fallen down to 5th.
Mm-hmm. And you can make an argument too, like with Vucevic in the post, who they committed money to. Why would they take a guy like Okafor? You could easily see them going another spot there, right?
I don't disagree with that necessarily.
So we're not saying that, hey, this guy's going to fall out of the lottery, which is ridiculous, but we're saying, hey, it could get interesting with these recent workouts.
Definitely could get interesting.
Moving forward, other guys we've been looking at, the kind of the tip over point with all this stuff is also Moutier kind of dropping.
He's another guy that's kind of fallen a little bit. I think more of that is because of the rise of Porzingis than anything else. I feel like if Porzingis didn't really blow people away, then Moutier will probably still be in the conversation for top 3, 4, Sixers, Knicks. But again, that's also the rise of Cauley-Stein. But I think if Moutier falls to 6 to Sacramento, I think they would be more than happy to land Moutier and have him roll with Cousins and Rudy Gay out there.
That's true. They need a point guard. They were rolling with Darren Collison a lot and Ray McCollum, so he would probably be a good fit. And I've heard actually the workouts have been pretty spectacular.
Yeah.
Though I have my questions, like I still am kind of, not that I don't think he could succeed, but I feel like he's more project, and the explosion is there, and he's more in the Levine mode.
He looks more solid to me. You know what I mean?
His body is very solid. His body looks
he looks
ready.
Strong. He was hitting the jumpers in the workout, but it's different if you're coming off the pick and stuff like that. I mean, it's different when it's contested, guarding your face, but he was hitting the jumpers pretty regularly in the workout. But then, one of our favorites, especially yours, Cameron Payne. At one point was, you're hearing talks working out with the Knicks and the Lakers, the 4th and the 2nd pick. Sacramento loved him at 6, but if Moutier is dropping, then they're probably going to go Moutier instead. But Cameron Payne, I feel like I'm looking at where he could fall and where a good spot would be, and I kind of like Indiana.
Yeah, I've seen that could be a spot for him. And with George Hill, kind of banged up last year.
Yeah, and he's not great. I mean, George Hill's a backup point guard.
I know you've never been a fan.
Yeah, like if you were ranking the top,
and Stuckey, if you were ranking, they were running Stuckey out there.
This is my point. If you were ranking the 30 starting point guards in the league,
right?
Hill would probably be 25 at best. I mean, he's
a solid defender, hits the 3, but I get your point.
That's why you could play 20 minutes coming off the bench. You know what I mean? Like
I get the Payne, like I was saying for a couple months now, for those who don't know, huge basketball IQ, real versatility in terms of being like a Rondo, Elfrid Payton type. I don't want to get too crazy, but in terms of his length, the athleticism really not there. But as far as I think what people will see right away is his ability to make the great pass and the right pass. Doesn't get too outside of himself. Really good shooter, too. Can hit the three, which is something that Peyton and Rondo don't have.
Reminds me of like a cross between, and I think we talked about this amongst ourselves, between Nick Van Exel and Alfred Payton, sort of. You know what I mean?
Nick Van Exel.
Like,
well, because he is lefty, right?
Yeah, that's part of it. But he even. If I'm remembering correctly, I feel like the form isn't that far off either than what Nick Van Exel had. But, just the ability to pop, you know what I mean? Just the ability to pull up and drill from 25. It felt like Van Exel just didn't care. Like, he was fearless in that regard. And I don't know if Payne's, totally fearless like that. But, some of the stuff that we saw at Murray State, he was just pulling up, coming off the pick and just pulling up from 25, and you're like, wow, okay,
yeah, exactly.
And just a couple of personal favorites for me, like Trey Lyles and Justice Winslow, are two of the guys that I really like. Just I don't know, like Trey Lyles, someone brought up to me. Like a Lamar Odom, but not quite the ball handling aspect of it. That's just his smoothness
6'10",
of the 6'10" guy who can play out on the wing, kind of slash and stuff like that.
Shows some versatility with the pass too.
Yeah, exactly. But Odom was obviously the better ball handler, so I kind of like that comp.
That's not a bad comp.
I kind of like that comp from Trey Lyles.
Okay, I like. Yeah, Trey Lyles kind of snuck up on us because that team was so stacked that we couldn't really get a pulse on how good these guys are. But then you kind of just see the footage broken down play by play, and you can see the versatility from his angle. And another guy on his team, Devin Booker, too.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on Booker? I know that we know that the kid can shoot.
Looks smooth. I mean, do you think he's going to be as good as a Clay? He kind of looks like him a little bit. I mean, he kind of looks like facially. He kind of looks like him. But it's almost like the same mold and the same build.
Yeah, they said pretty much
6'6", 205.
6'6",
205.
That's nice size.
Youngest kid in the draft.
That's nice size. Yep.
Looks like a knockdown shooter. I mean, he plays defense with his strength and body. Like, he'll get better defensively, kind of like the way Clay got better defensively. I feel like
and he's been kind of moving up silently. Like, they have him at 9, kind of in some places, going to Hornets. I don't know how much of a spot that is for him.
I feel like 10 to Miami might be a decent, especially if D-Wade leaves. 11 to Indiana is also a decent fit. Also, Utah at 12. I mean, Alec Burks, you can move him to the bench. I mean, I guess early on, Devin Booker. But you know what I mean. Like, eventually, the grand plan would be Booker at year 2, Exum in the backcourt. I feel like that's a pretty decent fit, too, right now. DraftNet currently has him at 14 to OKC.
Right. Back to Winslow, though. I think it's kind of interesting that he kind of would suffer in that slippage, too, with all the changes at the top. But going to a team like the Nuggets, I don't know. I like him. I like his fit. I know that people don't want him in New York because that's
I like his.
But I love Winslow.
But here's the thing. I don't know why people view him as a power forward. He was a power forward in college.
He's not going to be.
The game is small. He's going to be a 3 in the NBA.
6'7", 222.
Strong.
Buddy, that's...
Strong, physical guy.
Strong.
Like, he looks like a Jimmy Butler kind of.
That's a James Harden type.
Yeah, he looks strong. And I think his offense probably didn't get enough credit. Mm-hmm. He's got some skill. He's got better skill on the offensive end than I think some realize. But I wouldn't mind Winslow at 4 as a Knicks fan. I mean, and they love him. You hear stuff that they love him. He worked out with them recently, and they said that his workout was outstanding. The Knicks look like they're going to have a ton of options between him and Cauley-Stein. Hopefully not Okafor. But he like I said, he's one of my favorite guys in the draft.
One of our favorite guys. And how about this guy? I know this guy is probably not known by a lot of people. Continuing to move up. But he slipped a little bit, maybe one spot. They had him originally in Nuggets. Now they got him at 8. Our boy Mario, Super Mario.
Hezonja.
Yeah,
yeah, exactly, Mario. But we loved him. We saw how strong he was. He just looked ready, like he's ready for the league tomorrow.
They said he's one of the most NBA ready Euros to come around in a while. The shot is almost so water. It's so water.
It is.
It's beautiful to watch. A la Stephish to just. In terms of beauty, not in the same form. But
he's another guy. Like we compared Booker a little bit to Clay, but he seems like a stronger Klay Thompson, like a bigger version, more ready Klay Thompson. You know what
obviously,
I mean?
Coming from the Euro system, the fundamentals are there.
Yeah, they're always
able to post. I saw him a little bit moving with the fadeaway in the post. Look, he has a versatile game, man, and I don't know where really the Pistons, I guess they could use him at the 2. I don't really.
Yeah, they drafted Caldwell Pope a couple of years ago.
Who's more of a
they don't really have a
defensive
3. He is 6'8", Hezonja. Maybe teams can see him as a 3.
Right.
I mean, certainly
Right.
from a physical standpoint, he can be.
He's there.
Speaking of a 3, Kelly Oubre in Kansas says that he's going to be one of the best to ever play the game. Says he can be as good or better than Jimmy Butler, Kawhi, and Harden.
Very strong statement.
And one of the things that we kind of compared him to was like a poor man's James Harden when we saw. He has a lot of the same moves. He's also left-handed. He looks like James Young, too, but I think more of an athleticism and physical standpoint.
Right.
But, come on, dude. As good as Harden. I mean,
or Kawhi Leonard, Finals MVP and a runner-up MVP, right?
That's also arguably best defensive guy in the league.
Big shoes to fill. Guy's 6'7", 203, 19 years old. The skill level is there, and everybody says that they were really impressed with him coming into Kansas, but as far as just his ability to bring it on every play, that's been questioned. Because he has the loads of talent, and he's ready.
And listen, I got news for you, dude. If you're not going to bring it on every play, you're not going to be on the list with the guys that we just mentioned. I don't give a damn how good you are.
Right. So that's really the question: his motor and his will. Because other than that, I think people they're saying he has that lottery level talent for sure.
Right. So we're talking about a lot of guys that we do like.
What about guys you don't like?
I got nothing for.
What about Frank the Tank?
The athleticism isn't there. If the athleticism was there, he'd be in the lottery.
7'1", 231. And
he can shoot. He showed some post moves too, but he's not going to be able to guard anybody.
And according to Larry Bird, who's been coming out with some crazy statements with the Cauley-Stein $100 million players. I've heard Bird, a huge fan, said he can play. Said Kaminsky can start at the 4 or 5 right now in the NBA. The 4 or 5.
Here's my comp for Kaminsky, like a Brad Miller with more range. And Miller was a nice player. Listen, I liked him.
I love Brad Miller.
I'm serious. I was a big fan of Brad Miller
on the Hornets,
but in his role, you know what I mean? Like Kaminsky in that role could be a nice player.
Right.
Like we're talking, if Bird's talking about top 10 guy, I mean.
Right now he's slated to be a top 10 guy.
Yeah, I mean, I got DraftNet has him at 19 to Washington,
and Draft Express has him at 10 to the Heat.
Yeah, but that doesn't even make sense because they got Whiteside and Bosh. I mean,
but if the Pacers are in love with him at 11, they could take.
Well, that's an interesting spot, especially if Bird is. And Bird, they need Hibbert. They want Hibbert out. They want to go. There's Paul George is talking about. He knows that he's going to play the 4 a lot more next season. David West is a free agent. Right. I mean, maybe they go in with the Kaminsky and Paul George at the 5 and the 4.
One of the guys who kind of dropped, Stanley Johnson, right? Like this guy was top 5, top 6
for a lot of the year.
And I think now at 12, later on the lottery, that guy could be a steal for some people. And they got him with the Jazz right now at 12 in undrafted.
Yeah, I feel like Charlotte, Miami, and Utah are like perfect fits. Even Phoenix, but I don't know if he drops. If he drops that far. But I feel like those are all great fits for him.
Right.
Ron Artest was a comp for him.
Yeah.
And, as long as he doesn't turn into a nut like he does.
Right.
Like he did. But, listen, Artest, before he went crazy, was a damn good player.
Right. And like we said, the value on defense skyrocketing now, as we could see the ascendance of Cauley-Stein in the draft order. And Stanley Johnson is a guy who can start right away in the league. If you're on a team that struggles defensively, why not? Welcome a guy like him.
Just real quick on, not a comp, but like kind of one of the knocks on Oubre is the same knock on Stanley Johnson. He didn't always bring it every play, which is probably a big reason why he went from being a top 5 for a lot of the year to now he's kind of somewhere in the back end of the lottery.
Right.
Could still be a steal, though.
They got Decker slipping a bit now to 18. They got him on Draft Express 18 to the Rockets. Which is kind of a interesting fit, because I could see them with the PG injuries and everything. Him kind of, not starting, but let's say.
Yeah, I mean he'd be coming off the bench, but maybe he even plays a little bit of 4 because he is 6'9" at times. I mean, but they usually go with the athletic, or they try to with the athletic stretch 4. Although Terrence Jones isn't really your typical stretch guy.
6'9", 219.
Yeah, I mean he's tall. I mean he could shoot.
Great range, kind of fits in like with the Monty Eunice type.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking a little bit. I mean, you heard some comps of Gordon Hayward.
I don't know.
I don't think he doesn't have to go around. Hayward's so good. I mean, and I think I mentioned this before. Maybe somewhere like a cross between Hayward and Joe Alexander. I mentioned being compared to some degree to Joe Alexander, it certainly seems like a knock because the guy never made it in the league. But the athleticism was one of the things that I always loved about him. One guy that I don't love, I got nothing for Tyus Jones. Like he's Trey Burke 2.0 to me. And like he's nice if he's coming off your bench, but
Right.
if he's DraftNet's got him going 18 to the Rockets. I know they
got him
on Express.
They got him on the Raptors at 20 in that same area. They got Jerry and Grant kind of in that same area
in that
too.
same area.
You know,
Dallas also Terry Rozier. They could be looking for a point guard, so they could be looking at Grant, Tyus Jones, Rozier. They're kind of all those three guys seem to be kind of mixed together. Even DeLon Wright a little bit. They all kind of seem to be in the same range, like 19 to 24, kind of a
and Rashard Vaughn
kind
too,
of range.
From UNLV, the freshman, 18 years old, 6'5", 199. Apparently, when he came out, this kid is one of the most hyped or ballyhooed high school prospects. Great scorer. But then, had a knee injury late in the year, which kind of bounced him later into the first round. He might have been up there with the Oubres, late lottery. So he's another interesting guy who could be a nice sleeper pick for anybody.
I know one guy that we like is Montrezl Harrell. His ferocity, like his aggression. Yeah, like a bigger Kenneth Faried. I mean, Faried is like 6'6", kind of like 220. I think he's light. But Harrell's 6'8", 255 with the same motor.
Right.
I mean, you're bringing that kind of physical ability, relentless aggression from start to finish, and you're getting that at the 4 spot. Obviously, mid to late first round, a lot of teams he gets drafted by, he might end up coming off the bench, but that's a great guy to have coming off the bench.
They got him right now in Draft Express, interestingly enough, at 24 to the Cavs. Which, the way they're playing right now, and considering the Tristan situation.
Yeah, if Tristan's gone, well, they would obviously, the draft would be before free agency, but maybe they look at it, if we take him,
just in case.
We don't want to pay, in case we can't pay Tristan or he's going to ask for too much, we can bring back K. Love.
Right.
You have him and Harrell.
Harrell's
that's
a
interesting.
Nice little piece. So
that's interesting.
That would be kind of cool. What about Rondae Hollis-Jefferson? I've seen like another Arizona guy, athletic, good inside, and getting rebounds. I don't know too much about the potential, like long term, but I know he's a workhorse type guy.
Yeah,
inside.
It seems like more of a defensive guy. DraftNet actually comped him as like a bigger Bruce Bowen kind of a guy.
Yep.
It brings his defense, can knock down a triple.
And they got him going to the Bulls on Draft Express, which
fits them, right? I mean, like that's such a Bulls pick. DraftNet has him going to Toronto, actually, which is a little interesting.
6'7", 211. Yeah, hugely athletic, works inside nice. Could be something for a playoff team to use down the stretch.
Then you got a Kevin Looney, who talent-wise, I think is viewed as maybe a mid-first round talent, maybe even a little bit higher.
He's been moving up a little.
Yeah, but DraftNet's one thing I heard though was some sort of a health condition that could drop him out of the first round.
That's what it was, similar to like the Adrian Payne type situation.
Yeah, exactly. DraftNet right now has got him at 23 to Portland, which could be interesting for them, especially if they lose LaMarcus Aldridge.
Express got him as high as 17. They got him
to Milwaukee.
Which is a nice little spot.
Interesting.
The way they're stockpiling
as we know,
threes and
Milwaukee
fours.
Milwaukee just made the deal. They shipped out
Ilyasova.
Or signed Ilyasova. Maybe kind of to clear the space for Parker at the 4, but maybe clear a little bit more money as well.
7'3" wingspan, the hustle game, a huge part of his. What makes him a valuable piece to any team.
A couple guys, like Euro guys, that I like. One of them is Guillermo Hernan Gomez.
Right, we were looking at the footage.
Which we just love the interesting skill set that he's got. Looks like a young Mark. Looks like a young Marc Gasol. And, he's the guy's from Spain. So, he probably picked up a lot of the same mannerisms. Other guy like Justin Anderson, I'm not a huge fan of. I could see him being a guy that slips out of the first round, like a PJ Tucker kind of a guy. Solid player. I mean, someone that you can use and play 20, 25 minutes, especially if he's going to bring the defense.
Second round, there's also the kid Robert Upshaw out of Washington. They said he had first round, maybe I don't know if it was lotto. I read somewhere it was definitely first round level talent. Obviously, I think he got kicked out of 3 schools.
I mean, listen, if I'm Brooklyn, you got no talent. You got a shitty salary cap situation. Brooke Lopez might leave, and you should let him leave.
Upshaw.
Why not even take a
He's a second-round risk. I mean, 7
feet,
258. nice little. You can't buy that. Can't buy that.
You don't buy that kind of size. I mean, it's intriguing. Although,
and they got the Nets. Funny enough, on Draft Express, they got them taking Andrew Harrison instead.
Oh, that would be such a terrible pick.
I know you're not a fan. I know you're not a fan.
He's terrible.
Jerry Grant. We didn't really talk about him, but I know Horace's nephew, right? Horace Grant's nephew. Harvey Grant's son.
Harvey Grant's son. Yeah.
They got him going to the Wiz at 19. He's kind of in that same mix as the Deckers.
Like I could see him
Tyus
18
Joneses.
to Houston because they could use a point guard, right? I mean, whether or not Bev leaves, they just don't have much behind them with Pablo and
yeah, you got to figure.
And all Nick Johnson. I like 18 is a spot that I can kind of see him at.
With Deck, right?
I don't know if he jumps as high as to 14 because I know OKC was interested in Cameron Payne.
Right.
I just don't know if they go that high to take a Jerry and Grant.
For sure. Yeah, but I like Jerry and Grant's game.
Dallas is another spot.
In the tournament.
Yeah, Dallas is another spot.
Yeah, everybody's got Dallas taking a guard or one or two at some point. Now with the Rondo situation, kind of.
Yeah, and they might lose Monta too.
They're gonna be looking to retool that entire backcourt. So that's it for the Six Fouls podcast. We'll catch you again soon.